Hi, good morning, folks. This is just a bit of an update on what's been happening and a bit of a cautionary tale to all of you going to Europe. Basically, as you know, we had an engine fire on Monday. As soon we was going along the A66, which is a motorway going south from Salamanca. We'd done about 100 mile, give or take, and we came to a steep hill, and we started losing power. So, like anyone would, that you start dropping down the gears, and the power started dropping lower and lower. Fortunately, I was able to get to a slip road, so we was able to get off the motorway. We stopped. My clutch pedal just dropped down to the floor. I had no brakes, so we just rolled to the side as far as I could, put the handbrake on. I went in the back to get my phone, and Carol shouted, "John, there's smoke coming." So by the time I turned round, the flames were starting to come up on the bonnet. So I popped the bonnet, got my fire extinguisher that I keep in the driver's door, put the fire out, waited there, nothing left, so that was great. The fire extinguisher was totally exhausted. Told Carol to grab some stuff out the back and to get out the camper. So Melody and Carol got out the camper, and it started up again. The flames come, so I grabbed my last fire extinguisher from the habitation area, used the whole fire extinguisher again, putting the flames out, and then about a minute or two later it started up again. This time we only had a gallon of water in a bottle, so I tipped that over where the flames were. Unfortunately, it stopped altogether. So straight away I called the insurance company, told them what had happened and where we were, and they put me through to their claims division, which as soon as I told them we had an engine fire, she says, "Oh, you're not insured. You're not covered for that." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She goes, "Well, in the policy booklet, under we won't pay, on part 7, there's a real ambiguous, if I got the word right, wording. Well, the wording, what it's, I'd advise all of you to read this booklet. I read it when I first got it, and I totally misunderstood what this was for. Whenever you have a contract, doesn't matter with anybody, they will put in certain words in bold, such as when they're talking about themselves, they will call themselves we, and it be in bold letters. They will then, when they're talking about them, a sister company, they will, or like my case, the actual brokers, they will use their name in capital. When they're talking about me, they will say you, and when they're talking about your vehicle, they use the word your motorhome in our case, all in bold print. Well, reading through this part of what we won't pay, every time it mentions like TVs and stuff that are fitted to, and then it's in bold print, your motorhome, they will be covered. But things like TV masts and stuff like that that aren't fitted and aren't fitted by the dealer or the manufacturer are not covered. So when they're talking about things to do with the motorhome, they use the word your motorhome. So like one part of it, it says, if water comes into your motorhome through seams, we won't pay out, which is common sense. But this one paragraph, well, it's not paragraph, one section, number 7, it doesn't use the word your motorhome or anything like that. What it actually says is mechanical, electrical, electronic, computer software breakdown, fault, I can't remember the rest of it now, sorry. But reading it, it looks like they're talking about things you're carrying, such as your personal computers and stuff like that. It's worded in the same way as they talk about your credit cards, money, cash, CD players, CDs, DVD players, DVDs, and so on. All these are itemised sections. But at no point does it say that the mechanical, electrical, electronic, computer software breakdown, faults or flaws or breakdown points towards they're talking about your motorhome. So maybe I'm stupid. I'll admit I might have made a mistake and not understood that part. But it seems to be a cop-out on all insurance policies. So I'd advise you to read your booklets and look at it. So that's where we are at the moment with the insurance. I asked them how I was going to get the vehicle home. They said, well, if we get it home and you're not insured, then you've got to pay for the repatriation plus our expenses. So we advise that you get it back home. I said, well, how do Carol, Melody and myself get back? They said, because we say you're not insured, you've got to make your own way. And of course, a breakdown cover, once garage said it's beyond economical repair, bear in mind, it's over a 50 grand motorhome. And if it only takes 10 grand to put to totally build the engine bay, it is still economically viable to repair it. So the breakdown cover, they wash their hands of us. And that's the nightmare story. So we've had to pay out, it's cost us, what was it, about £900 in total. Sorry, I'm shaking here. About £900 in total, with taxi fares, train fares from Salamanca to Madrid train fare, and then of course you're getting a flight on the spur of the moment, so that was well over £600. Lucky enough, my daughter picked us up from Manchester, so a shout out to my daughter Robin, thank you for that. So what happened with the breakdown company? Well, the insurance, like I say, they said I weren't insured. I had to get it moved. So I rung the breakdown company here in the UK. I explained to them what had happened. They said they'd get somebody let's say their version of the UK breakdown of their company in Madrid to call me. So this was at 10 o'clock in the morning. Well, by 12, nobody had rung. So I rung the UK and said, look, we're sitting outside the motorhome because it's been a fire. We're in 37-degree heat with no shade. What's happening? They said, oh, well, we'll contact Madrid and get them to call you. Well, an hour later, after another 2 phone calls, because nobody had called during that hour, we get a call saying there's a vehicle coming out to move us to a garage. Bearing in mind, they know this is a 5-ton, 8-metre long motorhome, which is tag axled. They sent out a car transporter, which turns up at 2 o'clock. So you can imagine this is now the hottest part of the day. Still no shade anywhere. I decided, look, we're going to have to get back in the motorhome. We can't sit outside. So there was no chance of it burning again after that many hours. So we got inside. It was even with the windows we could open, it was still 39 degrees inside the motorhome, but we were in shade. Well, an hour later, after me ringing the UK twice, saying, look, they've sent this vehicle out, it's not big enough, what's happening? We get another call from the Madrid office. Oh, we're sending out another vehicle, it's going to be an hour or so before it gets to you. That was at that time, it was 3 o'clock. 5:15, the wagon actually turns up. Gets us on the back of the wagon. A taxi comes, picks Carol, myself up in our bit of baggage that we could take. Took us to the garage, dropped us off at the garage, taxi buggers off. We wait there, the vehicle turns up, with the motorhome on it, of course. The bloke said, look, we're closing now, so we'll take it down to our storage yards. This is all through Google Translate, by the way, because he can't talk English. I can't talk Spanish. So I said, okay, what happens now? And he says, you need to call your breakdown company because we're closing. So this is 6 o'clock by this time. We then get left outside in the sun again, no shade anywhere because this is an industrial estate, till 9:30 at night. I had made by that time maybe 7 calls to the UK saying, look, it's killing us here. We've got no water, no shade. It is still well over 30. I've got a 13-year-old kid. My wife and I are over 65. We can't take this kind of heat, being stuck outside with no shade. Each time they said, well, we've told Madrid what's happening. They're going to arrange a hotel and a taxi. Well, 20 past 9, the taxi turns up. Takes us all the way back to Salamanca to a hotel. Well, a hostel, not a hotel. We get to the hostel. The taxi drops us off. Everything's locked up. There's a number on the door saying, call this number if you need to, if you've lost your passkey or whatever. The taxi driver tried to ring them. Nobody was answering the phone. So he said he had to leave. He had another job. So he left. This is at 20. Well, we got there, I think it was about 10 to 10, something like that at night. It was a good half hour from Salamanca, the garage is. So we ring the UK and say, look, we're stranded. This hostel is closed. There's no way of contacting anyone. So I got to admit, the gentleman I spoke to, he was on the ball. He was great. He rung up Madrid. He didn't email them like the rest of the people was in the UK. He rung them. They gave excuses, but he managed to get us booked into another hotel. So at midnight, a taxi turns up. The young lad in the UK rings me back and he said, look, there's a taxi on the way. And I said, yeah, it's turned up. He goes, well, he's taking you 7 kilometres to another hotel. And I said, fair enough. And he goes, I'll ring you in an hour to make sure you're booked in and everything's okay. Now, he's a star. That was good of him. He went above what he needed to do. So we get to the hotel just after midnight, managed to get in. By the time we had a shower, got ready for bed, the young lad had called and that was it. But then the next morning, we brought our own breakfast because your meals aren't included. We had to book out the hotel by 11:30, 12 o'clock. So 11:30, we come down, booked out. I phoned the UK, said, look, we're in reception. We need to know what's happening with the vehicle. We was promised a call by 11 o'clock to tell us what a decision is being made about the vehicle. And no call had come. So we were told to hang tight. They're going to email Madrid, find out what's happening and come back to us. So come 12 o'clock, no call. 12:30, no call. So I phoned the UK again. They're told they're waiting for an email from Madrid. Someone will contact me very shortly. An hour later, I ring back, told the same thing. An hour later, we ring back, told the same thing. Now we're sitting in the reception with all our baggage. We can't have anything to eat because we're checked out. The hotel only provides meals for residents. We are, 4.5 kilometres from the nearest village with a restaurant or bar. We couldn't leave the hotel because of our baggage. So we're sitting there, we're hungry, we've got no water or anything. Lucky enough there was a fountain that we could get a drink in the hotel. But this went on all afternoon. Me ringing, being told the same story. Then come 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, I think it was 4 o'clock. We were called and we were told by the UK that the Madrid office has been told by the mechanic it was a write-off. He couldn't do the work. So they then turned around and said, well, that's it. It's a write-off. We can't repatriate it. Everything's now down to your insurance company. And I said, well, look, the insurance company said I'm not insured because it's an engine fire. They said, well, you'll have to sort this out yourself. I said, well, what about tonight? They said, oh, okay, no worries. We'll get you booked into the hotel you're in now. So I said, great stuff, no worries. And I'll try and sort things out. So I call the insurance company back and they tell me, well, if it's a write-off, and like we told you, if it's a mechanical or electrical or electronic fire, you're not covered. We can arrange to get you back to the UK and your vehicle repatriated, but we advise that it'd be better and cheaper for you to do it, because if you bring it back to the UK and we decide it's not covered, like we're telling you, you're going to pay what we pay for everything, your flights, that lot, plus administration costs. So she said, you need to sort this out yourself. So I said, fair enough. Well, after speaking to the insurance company, I call the travel insurance company. They turned around and said, unless you're going back to talk to the police or it's a medical emergency, there's nothing we can do, because you're not going to be stuck there after your return date. Well, yeah, this is only our first week and we're there until the 11th of August. So I ring up the breakdown company, said, look, the hotel here says we're not booked in. They said, well, we've been told it is. Let us email Madrid. Well, I was ringing every 30 minutes because we're getting hungry. Carol's in tears. Melody is being really good, but she's getting stressed. The hotel was really good because they let us sit there in their reception with all our baggage all day. Well, the Madrid office rings the hotel. The hotel says, no, you have not booked Mr. and Mrs. Budge into the hotel. There's no reservation come through. There's no request to book them in. So the Madrid office rings me. They said that we've got the hotel booking number and you need to give this to reception. I goes to reception, gives them the number, and she goes, that's nothing to do with us. So I ring back the UK. They said, well, leave it with us. We'll talk to Madrid. Well, by 8:30 at night, we're at our wits' end. We're starving. So I pay and book us in for the night. Well, of course, we've got to get home now the next day. And so we had to book a taxi for the morning, a train from Salamanca to Madrid, a taxi from the train station to the airport, when everything. So we left the hotel at 9:30 in the morning, got back to Manchester, about 9 o'clock at night. So it was nearly midnight by the time we got home. All day Friday I was ringing around, get costs to repatriate the vehicle. Well, we managed to get the cheapest one we could, which was what, well, just under £7,000 to bring the motorhome home. So I'm told I need to talk to the garage to pay any storage fees before he can get down. So I emailed the garage, gets no response. Today I've got a text message saying phone me. Give me your phone number. He can't speak English. I can't speak Spanish. What's the point of me phoning him? So I've sent another email which I translated from English to Spanish and sent it off to him and got the same thing back. My phone number is, and that is it. So at the moment I'm waiting for the the haulage company to give me a date. They said it's going to be 10 to 15 days from me agreeing to have it done. So I've sent them all the documents they asked for, a letter of authority to repatriate the vehicle for us. So where we are at the moment, they're going to ring me once they've got a driver to go down and pick it up. Then I've got to contact the breakdown company to get them to talk to the garage to find out what I owe him for the storage and how I pay him. So that's where we are. You can imagine Carol and I are both really stressed out. If the motorhome isn't insured, well, that's 50 plus grand that we've lost. Another nearly 7 grand in bringing the vehicle back to the UK, and nearly £1,000 getting us home. So please, 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 if you're going to Europe, check your breakdown cover. See if they decide that your vehicle is beyond economical repair, that they're not going to dump you like they did with us. Read your policy booklet, even if you've read it like I had before after I took out the insurance. Read it through. If there's any wording like what's in mine, ring up and talk to your insurance company. Because my son-in-law's a mechanic and he said you cannot prevent an engine fire. If your fuel pipe goes and sprays diesel onto an hot engine or gearbox, it can catch light. If it's an electrical fault, it could be anywhere in the vehicle. Nobody knows until it happens. So for the insurance company to turn around and say, well, you're not insured because of this one little bit of wording that apparently I've found out is in car insurance policies, it's in motorbike policies, and of course it's going to be somewhere in your motorhome or campervan insurance policy. So please don't get caught like Carol and I have. I'm sorry, I'm still getting emotional over the stress. Our Carol, she can't talk to you. Every time we talk about it, she's in tears. Please check that you're covered. And it's such an ambiguous line. You know, when they're talking all above about clothing, that's number 6, CDs, DVDs and cassettes aren't paid for. Then audio equipment that's not been installed by the manufacturer or one of their dealers isn't insured. external TVs, masts, satellite and stuff isn't insured. It goes like that all the way up to basically number 1, where it talks about TVs, like I said, or electronical stuff that has been fitted to the motorhome by the manufacturer or an authorised dealer. Then it will say the words your motorhome, which states they're talking about what is in or on the motorhome. Number 7 doesn't mention anything about the motorhome. It's like all the others. The line below it talks about losing your keys. The one below that talks about food and drink. The next one down talks about credit cards, cash, stamps, and other valuables. Number 13, it says we won't water entering your motorhome to your motorhome, again, which is in bold letters, through seams or around windows is not covered. And then it goes down like that right the way down, 30 something other ones. But every time it talks about the actual motorhome, it says your motorhome. On the part they're trying to use to cop out of the payment, it doesn't say that. It literally only says mechanical, electrical, electronic, computer software breakdown, faults. I'm sorry, I can't remember the rest. But to anybody reading that after reading everything above, you're going to think they're talking about things like your computer breaking down, software crashing, a mechanical fault, say with the fridge. We all know our fridges aren't covered. If, like your cooker, if that breaks down, or your toilet mechanism doesn't work. That's what I was believing they were on about with the wording it was. It was so open to interpretation, it's unbelievable. Another thing you need to understand is that any naked flames that cause a fire, you are not insured for. Or you may not be insured for. Now, what did your fridge run on when it's on gas? It's a naked flame. So if your fridge causes a fire in your camper, are they going to try using the same cop out? Or let's say you got your oven on and there's a problem that you don't know with the oven and it causes a fire in the back of your motorhome. Are they going to use that? Even though the fridge and the cooker is fitted by the manufacturer and it's checked on your habitation check, are they going to try using the same cop out that you had a naked flame, or it's a mechanical, electrical or electronic fault? Well, there we go, folks. That's it. So yeah, please check your policies, check your travel insurance, check your breakdown cover. We will try and keep you updated what's happening, but there's no way, if we're not insured, that we're going to be back on the road. So we will end up having to close the YouTube channel. We will miss you all if that happens. It's been a pleasure knowing you all, of course. And you all take care, stay safe, and hopefully catch you in the next another video. Bye for now.